All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about modules in Python. So, modules are used to have functions or constants that come from a certain library, and then you want to use that library inside your script that you're creating in Python. Or you could have a module that you made yourself, like let's say you made a class or a set of functions that you want to use inside a different file. You could also import that. So, there's typically two classes, things that are publicly made or those that you made yourself that you want to import, and we'll show you how to import them in this video. Okay, so we'll be using virtual environments here because for the aforementioned in my video, I talked about it. You could check it out. I'll put a link up above. So once you activate your virtual environment, you're gonna make sure that your Python interpreter is set to the python.exe associated with your virtual environment here. That way, you'll be running it from your virtual environment. So after you do that, you're gonna need to do pip to install modules that are outside of your local modules. So for example, if you want to install NumPy, you would do pip install NumPy, and that should install your NumPy for you. So depending on the size, the installation time may vary. This is not too big, so installing NumPy should go pretty fast. So typically, it'll just kind of start saying the status of the install by printing out where it's at. And then you could also install your NumPy for different versions, which we'll show you next. So you can see here, this installed NumPy for you. So you could double check your installation got installed correctly if you do pip show NumPy, for example. So you can see here that when you type that out, you can see the version that's showing. Okay. So you can also look into installing other versions. So for the sake of that, you could also uninstall it just so we could show you how you install different versions. So you do pip uninstall numpy. And then what this will do is just remove the numpy version that you currently have, and then you need to confirm yes to remove your installation. And again, based on the size, it should take not too long if it's a small one, and longer if it's a bigger one. So after you uninstall it, maybe you want to install a specific version of NumPy. So you do pip install NumPy double equal sign and then the version that you want. So maybe let's say I want 1.20, for example. Okay. So it'll start downloading that version. You can see it's using 1.20. And then this has some dependencies installing, and then just kind of wait for the different steps to finish. And again, because NumPy is small, it shouldn't take too long. So it'll just be a case by case. And usually, for some reason, when I install older versions, it tends to take a little bit longer, but it's still not too bad. So again, you could check your version, pip show NumPy. Says NumPy was not found. Okay, so you notice that there was some installation error. You could see if you scroll down, it says that there's an error, and if you scroll up, you could see what's happening. So if I look through this, you'll see that right here, runtime error numpy 1.20.0 may not yet support Python 3.11. So that's the issue with a lot of dependencies is that if you're running a certain version of Python, you have to use certain compatible versions of NumPy. So this is something that can happen if you install it the wrong version. So to install the one that you know will work, we'll show you an example. So I know that's 23.1 will work. So if I do pip install numpy equal 1.23.1, for example, this is a working version. And if you install something that's working, you will see that there shouldn't be any error message pop up. Okay, because As we did here when we did pip show numpy, it showed that no numpy was installed earlier because the installation failed. Okay. So here again, we're gonna wait for this one to install. Okay, and it says it's successfully installed. And again, we could do pip show numpy, and we can see that we have 1.23.1 installed successfully. Okay, so that's how you install modules that are from the public. Now, let's say you wanted to make your own module. So we're gonna have a module here called KW module demo, and inside we're gonna make a class called KW module demo. Let's put demo, and inside I'm gonna have a def called class function. And I'm gonna print I am inside a class, for example. And then I'm gonna have another function here called loaner function because it's outside the class. I'm gonna print I am outside the class. Okay, so that's your module that you created, and to use it, you would have to import things. But let's first show you how to use the NumPy that we just installed. So you'll need to do import NumPy as, and then you choose the name of your NumPy. And typically you do this as if your name of your module is too long and you just want to have like a short, simple symbol or a few letters to represent the module that you're importing. So here, as an example, you do amp dot matrix. So maybe you want to create a matrix 1, 2, 3, and just print out the matrix. So if you run it, you can see that it prints out the matrix. So that's successfully using the module that we just created. Okay. And typically you have your imports up on the top. Depending on your preference, you could put it anywhere. But for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to have it in certain sections so you could see what's happening more clearly. So I'm going to import the module that I just made. So import kwood module. So this one I call kwood module demo. I'm going to call it kwood module. Okay, so kwood module demo, right? So one thing to note is that the name actually has to be the same as what you have here. So I just updated my name here to kwood module demo without the dash, because otherwise, if it tries to look for it, it may not find it. Okay, so inside here, I actually have kwood. I'm gonna call it the same thing, or if you want, you can have a shorthand. So maybe just KW, for example. That might be simpler. So inside, you could see that I have access to kwood module demo. So that is, if you go back in here, you could see that kwood module demo is inside. Okay. So you can also see the other things available. You have loaner function inside. So if I do kwood module demo and then the class function and run this, you can see that it prints I am inside the class. Okay, but notice that if you just do kw.classFunction and run this, you're gonna get an error. Okay, so you need to do this, which is the correct way. But if you do kw dot, you see you have access to loaner function because it's not inside the class, so you don't need to have this kw module demo. So if you run this, you see that I have access to the loaner function like this. Okay, so maybe sometimes you don't want to write out so many dots and you just want to explicitly use the functions, then in that case you could do import kwood module demo and then gonna do import star. So that just means you're gonna import everything. So I'm gonna comment this out so you can see what's happening. And if I do kwood module demo, so notice I have access to the class directly now because I imported everything. Then I could call my kwood module demo and then my class function. Okay. And then I could also okay, so right here should actually be from. So it's gonna be from Kwood demo, and then if you call it, because now the class is actually directly imported, so you should be able to call this directly. You can see that it says I am inside a class. So you will no longer need to do like what we did here, where you call it, 2 times. Okay. And you could also use your loaner function directly, and you can see that this works. So this might be a preference if you prefer to have your code a little bit cleaner. That's when you would use the star sign to just import everything. And maybe there's cases where you want to import only specific things. Okay, so in that case, what you would do is you could say like from kwood module demo and then import. Let's say I only wanted the class, then I could do kwood module demo dot class function. And if I run this, you could see that it works. Okay, and then if you want to use the loaner function, you could see that you actually don't have access to it because when I hit the dot, nothing is here, so it means that you can't use it. And I can show you here if I try running it, you're gonna get an error. No attribute loaner function, okay? Because I didn't actually import it. So now if you want to import the loaner function, you could do from kwood module import loaner function, and then you could just call loaner function. So here I'm importing only loaner function, and I could just call that function directly, and you can see that it prints out I am outside the class. Okay, so that's it for modules. You learn how to import modules from public libraries like NumPy, and then you also learn how to use modules that you created and different ways to import it. Okay, so hopefully this helped, and I'll see you in the next video.